Hey guys, welcome to your fifth Java tutorial. In this one we're going to be talking about math operators and when to use certain types of data types over others and the advantages and disadvantages of using them. So we don't really need the scanner for that, so I'm just going to delete that line. Okay, so basically in the past tutorials all we've been using is int. Whole numbers, no fractions, no decimals, nothing, just whole numbers. So another data type is double, and double allows you to use integers and stuff. Well, decimals, I mean, not integers, sorry. So as you can see, you can make a double x equal to 3.35. You can use it to be an integer, so it's really very loose. You can make it a 3.0. You'll never really get an error message with them, but there are disadvantages to using doubles. But the main point of this is just to show math operations in Java. So let's make two variables. Let's make one of them. Let's start with two integers. Integer num1 and num2. And then you can add num1, well let's not add, let's just assign them. Num1 is equal to 5 and num2 is equal to 16. Okay, so we already know we can add these two. So let's just make another variable to store all our. We already know we can do num1 plus num2. And then let's just print out total so we can see. So this should print out 21, and there we go, 21. Now obviously if we can add, we can subtract, so this should be negative 11. Yeah, negative 11. And we can multiply. But multiply isn't, like in math, it's not an X or a dot, it's the asterisk, which is Shift 8 on your keyboard, and it looks like that. So num1 this is num1 times num2, which I don't know what that is. 80. Okay, so that should be equal to 80. Yes, 80. So those are 3, and then if we can do multiplication, we can do division. So num1 divided by num2. Well, let's do num2 divided by num1. So what do you think this will be if we divide 16 divided by 5? Well, Java says it's equal to 3. But that doesn't make much sense because 3 times 5 is 15. What about that remainder of 1? Well, here's the drawback of working with integers. When you work with integers in the calculation, your result is always going to be an integer. It will only show the whole numbers. So you say, oh, well, how do we get around that? Well, instead of making total an int, you can make it a double. And that gives it the ability to hold a larger number. But because num1 and num2, I'm pretty sure that this is still going to be 3. Or 3.0. Okay, so the only difference this did was it added the decimal point to it. But that's still incorrect. It's not 3.0. It would be 3.2, I think, or around there. It'd be 3.2 or something. So you keep wondering, like, well, how do I get it to do that? Well, there's something called casting. So whenever you work with both integers, it's going to be an integer. But as long as one of them is at least a double or a float, then your answer will be a double or a float. So if you do num1 divided by num2, but you have to write double, this is called casting, and you have to write it, like you write the data type that you want to treat this as, just for this calculation. Like num2 is an integer, but we're saying just for this division, let's call it a double. So this would be the same as making it 16.0. So it's a double, and we're not changing its value because we're just adding a 0.0. So now we're going to run this again. And there we go, 3.2. So I was right. But yeah, 3.2. So this is how you cast a number to kind of get around that integer drawback of only getting integers as your answer. So that's the 4 basic math: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. There's one more thing you can do in Java, and it's called the modular, I think it is, or the mod. And basically, that's like, you know how in elementary school when you divide 16 divided by 5, you'll get 3 and a remainder of 1? Well, that is the remainder is the mod. So you would do num2 mod num1. And the mod is showed by this percentage symbol. So run this program, and there you go. The remainder is 1.0 because of the double total. So you'll always get that 0.0, even if it's not true. But in this case it is. It gives you the remainder of the division. So that's how you do basic math in Java, and the mod, which I guess is basic math as well. There are ways to do other things such as square roots and exponents, but we'll cover that in the next tutorial, because Java can't quite do that just on its own. It needs a little help. But anyway, thanks for watching, and tune in next time. See you later.